Well, well, well.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy said that they weren't always going to be pretty, Travis, but you got to love them anyway, you know? You get Thursday night football.
Struggle bus.
I don't know what to call this game. We are starting the show early because the game said, hey, why don't you guys take off? Okay.
Hopefully, we'll get some carryover of some pissed off watchers because
Sure.
this game has been atrocious from start to finish.
Unwatchable?
Almost.
Absolutely atrocious?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call it.
It's been bad.
Disgusting. But we got a show to do. And you know what? We have a show we get to do. Is the way that I'm looking at this. It's week 5. We're kicking it off. The Broncos, the Colts. Let's just talk about it for a quick minute. It's ugly. Look, I just told Travis right before the show, Russell Wilson is the leading rusher in this game.
Yes.
I'm sorry. For the Broncos, I should say. Philip Lindsay did have 40 yards on the ground. Never mind, I just checked. He had another carry for -2 yards.
Negative yards. Yeah.
He's living the life.
It's been a field goal battle. Whoever wins the field goal battle is going to win on this Thursday night. And
Sure.
it'd be like that sometimes. I don't have many offensive weapons going in this matchup. I am playing against the Denver defense in my home league, and they are just feasting on the Colts. But
awful.
Week 5 is here, and we have a lot of other matchups that should have some touchdowns in them. It is our job to try to find who will be in a position to score those touchdowns.
You're damn right.
Let's do our best to do that.
Yeah, so let's hop into the first matchup then. Okay,
Right.
other than this garbage fest, okay, we'll just pretend like this game didn't happen.
Okay.
They're both on bye. We have the Giants and the Green Bay Packers kicking it off on Sunday, Travis. They're playing in London, so we get to wake up to some jolly old football, American style. Okay?
I've been loving that.
Yeah. I like we talked about in the last episode, man. Waking up with a cup of coffee and some football, that's great. That's perfect. So we have, like I said, we have the Giants, the Packers. What should we look for with the Giants heading into London on Sunday?
Giants, what I'm looking for is with 0 pass catching threats on the Giants side of the football. Is this a game where Saquon Barkley could get bottled up? I don't want to ever say Saquon's due for a dud. I don't think it'll be a dud, but I will say, I'll put it this way. If there's one week that I would rather play against Saquon Barkley than any other week, I think 9 hours away in London with 0 downfield threat, 0 help to Danny Dimes at all, maybe Green Bay can find a way to keep Saquon somewhat corralled. So,
yeah, I think that's a solid point. Is it 9 hours away? I always thought it was more.
no, London. Yeah, I guess London's somewhere between 8 and 9 hours flight.
Okay. Hey, the more you know. Yeah, I would agree with that. On the other side of the ball, though, you have Green Bay, who, they're starting to kind of grow into an intriguing offense. Obviously, you've got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon just dominating the touches, and that happens, especially when you have rookie wide receivers and your veteran that you have is kind of gaining his footing. I'm looking for a couple storylines, though. We know the running backs are going to get the touches, but is Romeo Doubs going to take a step forward and make some reliable plays while Aaron Rodgers continues to give him shots downfield? Or is Allen Lazard going to continue to be the trusted weapon that he is, having his targets grow each week? His share of that wide receiver room growing more and more, confident each and every week. That's what I want to look for, especially against a Giants team that they're not bad against the wide receiver, but they haven't exactly faced, top-notch talent as of yet. So yeah. I want to see how that goes early on Sunday.
I feel like between Romeo Doubs and Lazard, both of them have a nice floor, but also a capped ceiling. That's where I'm at with them right now. I feel like you can put them out there knowing that you will get that 8 to 14 point game and a half PPR. If
Right.
either of them go over 20 or 25, that would be the anomaly. I feel like they're both very even-keeled, steady guys that you want to play if you have room for, but you're not forcing in over an option that's a little bit better than them.
Yeah.
Lazard to me is still the 1A there.
I agree. I'm gonna need him this week, for sure.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, that's gonna be a theme this week. Pittsburgh and Buffalo, Travis. This is a game that's being played in Buffalo. You've got obviously the storyline being for Pittsburgh, new quarterback. Buffalo, same quarterback but great.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this Pittsburgh offense and what intrigues you heading into a very tough matchup as the first full functioning start for the rookie.
This is going to be an absolute slaughter. I think most people are predicting that Buffalo is going to just feast on this team. But yeah, Kenny Pickett is what you're looking at. And the question for me is, who is his favorite target? It's probably Deontay Johnson. It would be hard for anybody but Deontay Johnson to be a favorite. But maybe George Pickens sneaks in and matches Deontay, at least to start out, because of the experience that the rookies have together through training camp or whatever the case is. Can Deontay Johnson still get enough volume to be somewhat close to giving you what you paid in the draft? I don't think so, but that's what I will be looking for. I think I have 1 or 2 shares of Deontay. If Pickett gives him enough, I might be looking to sell. I'm pretty scared of this offense right now.
Interesting. So you're kind of out on Deontay then?
I've been out on Deontay. I think I took him because he was just far and away the best player on the board. But any shares of Deontay I have, if I can get equal value, I'm moving him.
Interesting. I mean, it floors me a little bit because he has 3 straight games of double-digit targets, and then he just has a 4 against. I mean, Sauce Gardner's no joke. So, it makes me wonder. I think he could be close to a quarterback's friend out there on the field. So I'd be interested to see kind of what happens there.
We'll circle back and compare Deontay to guys at his level, and then we can decide. Sure. Towards the end of the show, I'll put a little list together over the next 45 minutes or so, and we'll see Deontay or player X.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for it. On the other side, though, Buffalo, a team that isn't exactly struggling. They had a weird weather game last week against Baltimore, pulled it out. But let's talk about the weapons and who they're going to be facing on the other side of the ball. The Pittsburgh defense gives up points all over the place to fantasy football position players. And the wide receiver on this team, obviously, Stephon Diggs. Maybe Gabriel Davis is going to be healthy. Who knows? But the guy I'm focused on is Stephon Diggs in this matchup. And look, I'm going to call him his sidekick in this matchup, Devin Singletary, because they're using him in every facet of the game, whether it's first down, second down, red zone, even third downs now. I mean, he's second on the team in targets. It's kind of a perfect storm for Devin Singletary because Pittsburgh just happens to be one of the worst teams against the running back as well. So whether or not Josh Allen decides to vulture some of those touches from Devin Singletary in the red zone, I think this is an offense, like you said, that's walking into the positive side of a slaughter and will be able to move really at will. So I think it could be a matchup where we're constantly seeing the Pittsburgh offense hand the ball back to Buffalo, and especially when we saw 3 turnovers from Pickett in his first game against the Jets. So start your Bills, and that's my advice heading into that game, man.
I got a question. Coach speak wise, when Tomlin says I'm looking for a spark,
sure.
And says we're starting Kenny Pickett, is this a no look back situation? Or if Pickett comes out and looks awful for 2 or 3 weeks, do they go back to Mitch and say, we need Kenny to really learn whatever he can this first year?
I don't think so. I think it's probably a scenario where they weren't winning with Mitch. So you might as well get your quarterback of the future some experience and also not win.
All right, fair enough. Chargers and Browns. What I'm looking for here is Mike Williams. Big Mike, can he give us some sort of consistency? We know this is now and has been his identity. And so far this year, he was cold, hot, cold, hot. Most recent game was hot. I hope that doesn't mean another cold game is coming. Maybe we can get 2 hot ones in a row.
Sure.
Keenan Allen should be out again. Can we please get back-to-back solid outings for Mike Williams? Do you think he gives you, Dustin, 75 and a score?
Look, man, was he hot last game? That's my
Yes.
question.
Yes,
okay,
he
then
was.
He's going to be cold. It's kind of like he
Okay.
doesn't care what the matchup is. He's like, okay, guys, I had a good game last week.
I'm out.
This week, I'm off. Throw it to someone else. This is a Gerald Everett week.
Keenan's out. Palmer's banged up. I mean, surely he can give us 2 in a row. The numbers say
DeAndre
no.
Carter game. That's what I'm throwing it
There
out
we-
there.
that-
DeAndre Carter.
That's a good call.
Yep.
What about Cleveland? What are you seeing over there?
I'm seeing a beautiful matchup for the workhorse running backs of the
Ooh, plural.
Cleveland Browns. That's right. I like Nick Chubb, but I have to believe that those 1 yard off opportunities for Hunt cease to be a problem the entire season. So we know Amari Cooper is going to get targets.
Yep.
We know Chubb's going to get opportunity. Look, the Chargers have given up the 3rd most fantasy points to the running back position so far this year. So I expect Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb to both be useful in this game. I don't expect a lot of passing attempts from Cleveland, and I expect a low-scoring matchup. So that's just
A
kind of what you
low-scoring matchup. What's low for the Chargers? Over under 25 points.
get. For the Chargers, sure.
Or 24.
But-
We'll say 24.
Yeah. I mean, that's not exactly a high-scoring matchup, you know?
But 3 touchdowns. Do you think the Chargers combine somehow for 3 touchdowns as a team?
I think they're going to struggle to. I
Okay.
would take the under in this game.
All right. So you play against Kareem Hunt as you traded him to me
I did.
in a deal a week ago, and
Yep.
I'm starting him against you. You say
Yep.
Kareem Hunt can't get these one-offs all the time. Do you think he gives me 60 yards and a touchdown?
I think that's a solid chance that he does.
All right, I like that. It's a solid RB2 in standard leagues.
Yeah, makes me feel real good.
We said last show though he's so touchdown dependent right now.
he is
has
as a
to find a
backup.
way across the line.
He's gonna get targets. You know, he's gonna get. You know, he can get anywhere from 10 to 15 touches.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's gonna be a viable low end RB2. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I would feel good having him in a standard league for sure. I would feel some sort of way about the weapons in the Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars game coming up this week as well. The matchup here. Look, these aren't exactly sexy names, but we have to talk about them. You know,
They're getting
Jax-
sexier, Dustin. They're putting
They
in
are
the
getting
work. They're
sexier.
working on their sexy, and they are coming
Right.
around here.
that's right. You're right. And you know what? Honestly, to me, no team is sexier than the Jacksonville Jaguars. If nothing else, than just watching Trevor Lawrence's hair. You know, the game
flow.
it's oh my gosh, it's look, I know
Sunshine.
everybody wants to call him Sunshine, but I don't know.
You
I
have
don't-
to.
I guess you do.
You're saying
But
his flow's
Jacksonville-
better than Sunshine's flow?
Oh yeah, 10 times.
Wow.
10 times better.
I think it's a little longer too.
But here's the thing. Here,
Ronnie Bass.
I'm excited. I'm excited about Trevor Lawrence. Just maybe not in this game, because Houston doesn't give up a bunch of fantasy points to the wide receiver or quarterback, or at least they haven't so far. They give up so many fantasy points to the running back. It's like what we saw from the Chargers last season.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to beat them any way else. It's like, hey, I'm not going to defend anything other than a straight jab to the face. You know, like you want to punch me in the face as many times as you want, absolutely. And that's what teams do. They'll just keep running and running and running. Houston has given up easily the most running back fantasy points against, and I expect Etienne and Robinson to have a great game. I'm also really interested in that backfield split between Etienne and James Robinson. I don't know how much trailing really quickly all of a sudden last week, and the terrible weather last week kind of played into Etienne getting a better snap share. But
Right.
a couple, fun metrics for the Jacksonville Jaguars, running backs, is that James Robinson has declined in yards after contact in the last, every single game, So I don't know exactly what that means for, him going forward, or he's hurry up and get him off your roster. But all I know is that ETN is talented enough to take whatever grace is being given to him by his backfield mate. So that's a dynamic I'm interested. I think I will start both of these backs with some confidence heading into this matchup.
All right, you're not going to put ETN over somebody like Breece Hall. Would you put ETN over Gibson pretty easily?
Easily, yeah.
Okay. What if Robinson is not actually back this week? Gibson versus Tennessee or ETN versus Houston?
ETN versus Houston.
Okay. All right. I'm looking on the Texans side of the football. This is going to be a good test for Pierce. I want to see, do they give him another 18 to 20 touch week? Is he going to be a high volume guy, or is it going to be kind of 12 touches one week, 20 because the game allows for it, they're coming from behind, whatever the case is? Or is it, this is a staple in our offense, we want to go through Pierce? Obviously, we're not trying that hard to have a great record.
Right.
Because we want a high draft pick, but we want to see what the rookie has. Let's pound it a little bit. Do you think Pierce gets over or under 18 total touches?
18 total touches. Oh, I think he's going to get under.
15 carries, 2 catches?
I
Total
think
17 in the bet.
I think 17. 17 is his ceiling this week. For sure.
All right, Chicago and Minnesota. Your Bears.
Yeah.
Dustin, what are you looking for from the Chicago Bears? The Bears.
Look, their offense, I don't like talking about it. It gives a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like watching it with my eyes.
Okay.
At this point, like, it's more about what they can do against the weapons that they're facing. Like, you're not gonna start Mooney, you're not gonna start Komet. You'll start. I'd say you can start Khalil Herbert as an RB2 and feel pretty good about it in this game. But other than that, you're not really touching any of the weapons on Chicago. You're going to talk about Minnesota here in a second, but just to kind of words of advice here, Chicago's actually better against wide receivers than anyone wants to really admit. They're actually, top 5, top 6 in the league, points, fantasy points against the receiver. So that's not exactly skewed by the Giants either. If you remove last week's games, Chicago's still above average. And I'm, as much as I need a Justin Jefferson week against you this week, I'm terrified that this is a Dalvin smash week.
That is exactly what I have here. My question for the Vikings is, will we see Dalvin Cook, vintage Dalvin Cook again, or is this the new normal for what we should expect from Dalvin Cook? Is Dalvin now just outside of the top 10, 12, 15 running backs? Is he in that mid RB2 now, or is he still an elite RB1 who just hasn't gotten hot yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a top. God, he's probably going to be a top 8 back this week. To be honest with you, like he's gonna have a great game.
So you're a little nervous about the Cousins to Jefferson combo not absolutely going crazy.
I don't think they're gonna go crazy. I think he's gonna have 15 points this week. He's good enough to do that any week.
Yeah.
But
I think he could have another huge one.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna put anything past him, but the Bears secondary is very good.
Yeah.
I can't even say very good. It's not very good. It's good enough. It's very similar like the Houston Texans, where it's like, look, they're so bad against the run, you don't necessarily have to beat them throwing the ball. Now, granted, maybe there's some version of a game where Kevin McConnell just decides, hey, I'm smarter than the Bears, so I'm going to throw it when they think I'm going to run it against them. So that could happen.
Would you rather the Bears win or Jefferson and Cousins go crazy and you beat me in the home league? Where does the fandom stop?
You have to ask that question.
You're ready for the Bears to just keep losing and tanking.
You're not doing anything this year.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe that was a dumb question. Seattle and New Orleans. In New Orleans, from Seattle, what I'm looking for is Geno Smith is allowing us to start DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett with confidence.
I guess.
DK gets Lattimore, who just got cooked by Jefferson, but we've seen DK and Lattimore get into it in the past. I think the last time they played, yes, DK had a huge catch up the sideline, but it was one of 2 catches in the whole game. So the question is, does Geno give Lockett and DK enough good volume, not just targets, to produce top 24 weeks for both receivers?
That's a good question. I would say yeah.
I mean, think so. In half PPRs, yeah.
Looking at the totals here, I mean, yeah, I mean, they've both seen double-digit targets in 2 games this season. Tyler Lockett's, come close in a third. They both, got about 34, 35 targets. Tyler Lockett is over 3. He's the receiving yards leader for the team. This is a weirdly good offense so far. I mean, granted,
they made the right choice. They really made the right choice with Geno. There was a time in the summer it was an open competition, and people were in Superflex leagues. It was, do I draft Geno or do I draft Lock late? And the answer was Geno, and he's been fine.
I think he's like the quarterback, like 8 or something like that right now.
I mean, last week he and Goff went nuts.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I speaking to your point, yeah, feel good about the pass catchers in this game. I think they'll be okay.
All right.
The Saints, on the other hand, are not okay. I don't feel good about any of them. The only,
really
guy
none.
No, none.
Olave.
Like
he's been heavily involved.
Kinda like last week. Yeah, granted, we had Andy Dalton, London, but like, can you promise me that Jameis will play? If he plays, I guess I feel a little bit better. But he's like Olave's already used all over the place.
Yeah, but I think you'd be hard pressed. Okay, Deontay Johnson this week or Olave if Jameis plays.
Oh, Olave.
Yeah, so he's he's in most people's top 20 then. So you got to start him.
I don't have Deontay Johnson inside my top 20.
I would put Deontay outside my 30, but I would say Olave top 24.
Yeah, okay, so
he's in your
volume alone. Look, he had 2 straight weeks of 13 targets before, dropping down last week. If he can get back to, a dozen targets this week, obviously I'm in, because that secondary for Seattle is #bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. I can be talked into it. Everybody else though, not named Alvin Kamara, I'm out on.
Okay.
If Alvin Kamara plays, I feel good. If not, I'm not starting anyone on that team.
Fair enough. Detroit and New England. In New England, out of Detroit, what I'm looking for after an offensive explosion last week. TJ Hawkinson breaking records. Everybody thought no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Swift. It is going to be hideous on the Detroit offense, and it was everything but. Jamal Williams went crazy. Hawk went crazy. Goff went crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Josh Reynolds had a really nice week. My question this week, after what we just saw, is if Amon-Ra is hurt, is there anybody outside of Jamal and probably Hawkinson that you would start? Are you streaming anybody other than those 2?
Goodness. Anybody outside of
like Goff, a lot of people are going to start because he's so hot. Are there any receivers that you're like, yeah, I'll play him?
I mean, if DJ Chark plays,
okay,
sure. I mean, look, New England is weird against the wide receiver because they have given up 2 huge games.
Yep.
To the wide receiver. Like it's Miami, they've given up big games. Green Bay, they've given up big games. They've really only stopped the Ravens. Pittsburgh even had some success, not a ton, but usable games. This is tough. I think Detroit's going to do better than we think. But yeah, no. To answer your question, no, I don't think I'm going to start.
You're sticking to Jamal, Hawk, and Goff.
Yeah, I think that would be who I would feel good unless, if I'm going to not stop playing.
I don't think he plays this week or next. I think his ankle is pretty messed up.
It's possible. I mean, I guess we'll see. Keep an eye on it. But man, that would suck. He is a top 8 wide receiver when healthy. So that sucks to see. Especially for Lions fans. Like, I don't want to get too much into Lions because everybody knows they're my favorite team. Obviously.
What? Over the Jags? The Jags haven't replaced them yet?
Right. They're getting close. But man, this Lions team is going to be fun. A lot of fun to watch.
Like if they play each other, who do you want to win the game? Not fantasy-wise, just win.
I enjoy watching the Lions win. I don't know why.
All right. That's where the loyalty lies until you say differently.
Can I just make a bold claim by the end of the season?
Yes.
The Lions are going to be a top 5 offense at the end of the season.
As far as yards and points scored?
Everything.
Wow.
Everything.
Breaking news right now.
Yeah. Oh.
There are 15 seconds left in the Thursday night football game. Matt Ryan has driven the Colts down all the way down the field to the 10-yard line with 13 seconds left, and a field goal will send it to overtime. After a Russell Wilson pick on 4th and 2, they go for it and get it. They can run the clock out, kick a field goal, go up 6. Instead, they decide to throw it, reminiscent of handing to Marshawn or not. They throw it, gets picked at the goal line, and Matt Ryan is doing magic. So that's what's happening right now.
Imagine getting kicked in the face for 3 hours and then seeing the guy walk away from you and say, you know what? I've got another 15 minutes in me.
We'll see if Matt Ryan gets picked here. Nope, timeout, Denver. All right, carry on here.
My goodness.
New England, what are we looking at with the Patriots, Dustin?
We're looking at a lot of running the ball because Mac Jones, even if he's playing in this game, is not going to be a super serviceable quarterback. He wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire, and then now he has a high ankle sprain. I don't know. He must have a machine leg now, but he is playing through this thing, maybe. If not, I think we're going to see Bailey Zappi out there, who I'm not excited about. Look, I'm excited about Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I don't feel great about Jacoby Myers, but he is the best weapon in the wide receiver room that they have. So,
is he fully back?
No, he's still questionable, but he's getting limited practices. Who knows if he plays? They've got Mac Jones is limited, so who the hell knows?
Oh, your boy Tyquan Thornton is not back to gameplay yet, but he is back at practice, which is good to hear. Because initially it was potentially 8 weeks. It's nice to see him getting reps in.
I like him. I like him a lot. But yeah, Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Detroit just gives it up to the running back. So look, you run on them, and that's what the Patriots are going to do. I love both those guys. They're both going to be inside my top, 30 running backs. And Damian Harris, I think, is going to get a couple touchdowns in this game. It feels like one of those games.
I like it. All right, should we pause and see what happens here with 13 seconds left?
I'm not spending another moment on that game. Look, I don't care what happens. I don't care if actual horses break into the stadium and just start fighting. Nothing will excite me about this game.
It is field goal attempt is coming up to send it to overtime. I bet we finish the show before the game's over, as they punt 5 times in overtime. Miami versus the Jets, in New York. I cannot wait for this game, Dustin. I cannot wait to see Teddy Two Gloves with his God-given gloves on both hands. My question is, can he give you
two gloves? You don't have to say both hands.
Both
hands.
It's
not like he's wearing 2 gloves on one hand.
He's going to be playing as if he has 4 hands. He's going to be that sharp.
Oh, goodness.
250-plus yards, multi-touchdown game. I think that's going to be a normal thing for Teddy. I don't see a drop-off from Tua. Another question about this offense is Raheem Mostert a 15-touch running back right now? Coming off of a 17.
That's a good question. I like him. I like him a lot. I would say so. Yeah, I think so.
Game script dependent, Raheem Mostert?
Probably. I think they want to get him the ball. I think they like getting him the ball. I don't like the prospects of what the Jets do against the running back position. I think they've given up one big game. Other than that, they've pretty much kept guys quiet. So I don't love it for him in this game.
Mostert or Gibson?
Oh, gross, dude! Why do you do that to me?
Because I have to make these kind of calls.
Oh no, I'm going Mostert. To be honest with you, I'm going Mostert. Yeah, that's
Gibson is falling.
Yeah,
even if Robinson says I need another week.
I don't care if Robinson says I'm retiring. Gibson's not interested.
You're done. All right.
Yeah,
we are going to overtime as you go to the Jets. I told you at halftime, I'm like, this is going to be great. We'll get overtime in this game that everybody loves.
It's going to be a tie because that's how it has to end.
It has to.
Has to
field
end.
goal,
like, guys,
field goal.
The NFL's already called it in. Neither of you get to win.
I do need seven more yards from Russell Wilson to hit his over, so overtime
He'll get 6.
Welcomed.
He'll get 6.
Thank you.
Congratulations. No one has a good time here. I actually really like this game for the Jets, though. I really do. I like it for the Jets pass catchers. Miami has a banged-up secondary. And, look, if there's one thing we know about the Jets, it's that they like to throw the ball, and they've got 3 weapons that they can 4 now. They have 4 weapons, arguably 5 that they can throw it to. I think they're going to sling it all over, and I think that as much as it pains me to say it, I think Zach Wilson is an okay play this week. I think
Why does that pain you to say? You got something against Zach Wilson?
Look, I'm sure he's a nice human being. Okay, from what I hear, he spends a lot of time taking care of people's mothers, and that's really nice. But I think that Zach Wilson is a sham.
To say that Zach Wilson or Teddy Bridgewater in this game fantasy points.
Zach Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wrong.
No, it's okay. Hey, what's your opinion? No, that's wrong. That's bad.
Let's debate Teddy versus Zach Wilson until overtime's over. How about that?
Okay. I'd rather. Yeah. Let's debate Teddy Bridgewater against a jugs machine. Okay, that's a closer matchup.
Do you think that the return of Zach Wilson will revive a disappearing Elijah Moore?
Yes.
Okay. I hope so.
Look, looking at Miami's points given up to wide receiver, they've given up very useful games almost every single week. So wide receiver is going to be nice. Conklin, I think, is a great play. I think Zach Wilson, again, Miami's top 3 in points given up to the quarterback position. Granted, a lot of that is due to the Baltimore game.
Yep.
But they've given up 20-plus points in 3 games this season. So I think Zach Wilson's going to be good here. I like all the Jets' weapons. This offense is annoyingly potent. So here we are.
I think the fandom that you have for the Lions, I have found myself every Sunday rooting for the Jets. I think it's a Robert Saleh
You're a
thing.
Jets fan. Okay.
Yeah, I think I am. I think the Jets are my closet team. After Green Bay, I think it's Jets for me right now. And I love the coaching staff. I really like the weapons, and I think Zach Wilson gets undeserved hate. We'll see. Dallas and Rams, my not hometown team, but current living team, the Dallas Cowboys. How about them boys? Cooper Rush, Dustin, every show. We keep coming on, and Cooper Rush keeps winning. He has not lost a game as a starter in the NFL now.
Nope.
I do think this game is low scoring because both offenses are somewhat hindered right now, and both defenses are very legit. So I'm expecting a low scoring game. For me, I know I'm supposed to be covering Dallas, but for me, everybody in this game is on bust alert except for Kupp. Is there anybody else you feel safe with in this game?
Well,
Higbee?
That is exactly what I wrote.
Great.
I'll break down Dallas.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw Cooper in my notes, and my brain went to Cooper Kupp. So.
It's okay. I've done my research. The Rams have given up the second most points to the wide receiver position, so I feel good with Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb and Noah Brown as a low-end flex. So I like this matchup. Cooper Rush. Anyone named Cooper in this matchup, I think you can feel good about what they're doing in this game.
Okay.
But
Who
seriously,
wins?
The Cowboys. And
Nice.
This feels like one of those matchups where I feel like we look at it and we determine, okay, the Rams are dead. I think this is a matchup. I think this is the nail in the coffin where it's like, okay, the Rams are not who we thought they were coming in. Dallas is going to get after them. I think Matt throws a couple of picks here. I think, Cooper Kupp gets close to 100 yards. And I think this is just another game where it's like they really don't know how to get it figured out. Even at home,
They get the Panthers in LA next week. So if they come out and lay an egg against the Cowboys, are you putting all of your Rams right back in next week?
Yep. I'll even
this is the game we put the nail in the coffin until next week when Baker Mayfield comes to town and everybody's back in.
Oh, for sure. Look, whenever Baker comes to town, you're like, oh, guys, this is like, oh man, you have a funeral this weekend, but next weekend it's your birthday, so it's great.
It's gonna be okay.
So it's like Baker's coming to town, everybody parties. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I like all the weapons here. Honestly, I don't know that I love Zeke in this matchup though. That's I guess if I had to say one, if there's
Tony
one team
Pollard should be the highest scoring running back of all running backs.
I think Zeke is going to be awful in this game, because look, the Rams. I'm
Zeke
looking
or Akers?
At Akers.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you okay starting Akers if you are thin at running back? Akers or Hunt? Akers or Kareem?
Oh, Kareem, easy.
Akers or don't make me say it.
Don't bring
the
him
answer's
up on
Akers.
The answer.
I was gonna say Akers or Gibson.
I know.
Oh,
you said his name anyway.
Wait, you said don't bring him up on this show. It threw me off a little bit.
It hurts. But no, the Rams have given up almost like no points each week to the running back position because they give up the absolute most to the wide receiver. It's like an opposite of the Bears and the Texans. It's like, hey, we can't stop anyone throwing the ball. Ramsey literally quits on plays. He's like, you know what, guys? I'm not even sure I want to play football anymore. And then they're like, okay, we'll just keep throwing the ball. And then Matt Stafford's on the other sideline. Like, how do you do that? Like,
Matt Stafford it looks horrible right now. I don't know
really
what's
bad.
going on. I don't know if it's
all
the
these
arm
weird
or the O-line or what.
Sidearm throws where it's like, Matt, you don't have to throw sidearm. He's like, yeah, but I can. Watch.
Just be you. I know that's been you, but you need to be current Matt Stafford, not 5 years ago prime Matt Stafford. Tennessee and Washington. In Washington, the Titans for me.
Washington.
Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. He is the wide receiver 1 for the Titans right now. With Burks being injured, he's pretty much by himself. I want to see a 10-target week for Robert Woods this week. Do you think we see it?
I think it's possible.
2.5 per quarter.
I think that's fair. I don't think that they really throw it a ton. I think they're gonna have plenty of success running the ball.
They will try to run it 40 times.
Oh, for sure.
But if that's working, you get the play action to Robert Woods. He gets you 60 yards and maybe a score.
Okay, I will say if there's a wide receiver that's going to take advantage of this matchup, the matchup where Washington gives up the third most wide receiver points, fantasy wise, then yeah, Robert Woods would be the guy. I would target in this matchup. Right. Absolutely. Washington, they have some great matchups against weak Tennessee secondary. Tennessee, like I said, Washington gives up the third most wide receiver points. Tennessee gives up the fourth most. So a lot of throwing in this matchup. I would start Terry and Curtis Samuel with confidence in this matchup with Jahan Dotson hurt out for a couple weeks. And I can't think of anyone else in the world that I would start in this matchup on the Washington side of the ball. No one else.
Okay.
Carson Wentz maybe, Logan Thomas.
I like Wentz this week.
Yeah, I think this is a good Wentz streaming week for sure.
Yeah, he just went 9-9 the last 2 weeks. not in German, but points. So he's due for a little bit of a bounce back, I think.
Yeah, I would not start Gibson in this matchup.
Are you sure there's not a running back, number 24, that you would consider this week? Watch Gibson go. Watch him have like a 3-touchdown Christmas game. San Francisco and Carolina. The Panthers are. I think the Texans are better than the Panthers.
You think the Texans are better than the Panthers?
The Panthers suck now.
I've watched the Panthers play football, and I would like to file for damages for watching that.
Watching Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield they're basically trading off batted down passes last week was comical. Neither of them could see anything. And I think there was a stretch of like 7 or 8 batted passes in 2.5 quarters. It was like, what are we doing?
Watching a middle school game?
Throwing into a wall. I can't see.
Watching a gym class.
On the San Francisco side of this 49ers-Panthers game, for me, the question is this. Is there anybody outside of Deebo Samuel, meaning Ayuk and Kittle, that you would trust through the air in this offense to put into your lineup? Obviously, if you drafted Kittle, you're wanting him in your lineup, hoping for the big week, but he has been killing people. I know he's been hurt, but he played the whole game last game and gave you 2 points.
Sure.
24 yards, 2 catches. Do you trust Kittle? Do you trust Ayuk as a wide receiver 3? Would you go DJ Moore or Ayuk?
I mean,
in the same game?
DJ Moore or Ayuk? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, and they're playing each other. Well, they're not guarding each other, but in this game, which of those two?
I would go Ayuk. Yeah, I would go Ayuk. I mean, San Francisco actually does well against the wide receiver, and watching Baker Mayfield play last week was almost unwatchable. Like it was
so ugly,
god awful, and I just both like Carolina's middle of the pack against like their secondary is surprisingly decent. You know, they don't pressure a lot, but Carolina's decent. They've given up one okay game. You know, so I don't love the passing attack with Jimmy G leading it, but at the same time, it's like I don't trust anyone not named Christian McCaffrey on that offense for the Panthers. So,
do you think San Francisco murders them?
It wouldn't surprise me. Where's the game at? It's Carolina.
It's in Carolina, but I feel like that defense in San Francisco is gonna just kill Carolina.
It feels like a weird matchup where it'll just be kind of lower scoring. You know, like San Francisco has struggled at times, and with an okay, like average defense of Carolina, I feel like this could be a matchup where both offenses struggle, and it's just low scoring, and no one is happy in fantasy. The only way I see this going well for anyone, I think, is if San Francisco breaks off a huge play, you know, like a Debo play, and that looks good. But other than that, no, I'm not excited about the pieces.
Maybe it's
in this
DJ
matchup.
Moore. Maybe he finally gets it done.
Man, he saw 11 targets. He does. You know, like he gets opportunity, but man, it's like literally, if you ask me right now, Dustin, throw a jersey on a jugs machine or throw Baker Mayfield out here, I'm at least thinking a solid 30 minutes on like, okay, what are the real, like, how can I Jimmy rig like a couple plays to where the jugs machine can actually get a fair shot?
Just be there in 3.5 seconds.
Right.
15-yard out, the ball will be there.
I can't.
All right, that's where we're at with San Francisco and Carolina. Philly and Arizona.
We skipped, before we get to that, we skipped over Atlanta and Tampa Bay.
Did we?
We did.
Oh, yeah, we did. They are sneaky in the middle here.
They're right there.
Okay, I'll give you what I'm looking for Atlanta. The backfield could be very hard to watch with Cordarrelle Patterson.
Hard to watch.
Yeah, this is going to be an ugly offense. Is there a clear replacement to you with Cordarrelle Patterson out, or are you staying away from all of them?
I like Tyler Algier. For whatever reason, you know, Tampa has actually shown that they're vulnerable, at least somewhat, on the ground. And for whatever reason, Atlanta stays close in games. And so I'm not necessarily saying like you have to start Tyler Algier because he's going to get all the opportunity. But I'm sitting here saying like Tampa has 3 really strong games against the running back position so far this year. They're still number 2 in points allowed to the running back. But last week, granted, the offense is great for Kansas City. That's why you had these passes going off all over the place to Clyde and all the other good stuff there. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying keep an eye. They're vulnerable. He's a low end flex for me to answer your question.
Algier over Gibson?
Is Adrian Peterson still playing?
No way you go Algier over Gibson.
No, I'm not going to go Algier over Gibson.
Thank God.
No. No.
All right.
But, man, I have to think about it. Jugs machine over Gibson.
Tell me about Tampa Bay. What are you looking for?
Tampa. Look, it's all about the weapons for Tom Brady in this matchup. Atlanta, look, they're terrible against the wide receiver, and Mike Evans happens to be one of those. Chris Godwin, look, as long as he's not banged up and is playing in this game, I like him in this game. Other than that, it's Leonard Fournette, man. It's Leonard Fournette.
Is this
those
the
3
game?
weapons? I think this is the game. I think
right.
this is going to be the game where we see, all the weapons finally click and we see, okay, Tampa Tom is back. I'm not going to speak on any of his personal issues, but he's focused. He's getting back to it, and Atlanta just feels like a get-right game. It's in Tampa Bay, inter-division, and so I think this is a game where the pass catchers in Tampa really eat because I don't think Tampa or Atlanta can stop them.
Okay. Philadelphia and Arizona. We've got a 4th and 1 on the 5-yard line. Denver going for it instead of kicking the field goal to tie it here in overtime. They have a tie with the field goal. Okay, timeout. I think they kick it. Philadelphia and Arizona this weekend.
Did I not tell you it's going to end in a tie? Did I not tell you that?
I mean, we haven't missed a call yet on this game. Philadelphia. This is going to be quite frustrating for Eagles weapons owners. You are going to get some great games from these guys. We have seen it already. Week winning type games.
Sure.
But you are going to get duds from your starting Eagles players every 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe every other week. Yeah. It's just part of it when you have that many weapons. So I looked at week 1 through 4 and said, who was it that got the dud? They're playing this roulette. Somebody's getting the short end of the stick. Devontae Smith, week 1, 0 points. A.J. Brown and Sanders in week 2, both under 10 points in half PPR. Week 3, Miles Sanders, 5 points. Week 4, Devontae Smith, 3 points. This is going to be frustrating all year. Oof. And maybe beyond this year. When you're that good, and they're clicking, so why would they change what they're doing? It's kind of like the Golden State Warriors. That's the analogy. Steph's going to have huge games. A.J. Brown's going to have huge games. But Steph is okay giving you just 20 or 21 instead of 40 if Klay's going off. This is a Klay night.
Yeah.
It's just like that sometimes because they're that good. So my question is, who do you think this week gets the dud?
For Philly
versus Arizona, who do you think comes out of this game with single digits? If you had to pick one of them.
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I think they give up some big games to some wide receivers. I think this is a Devonta Smith game where he's quiet. I think this is going to be a game
coming off of a 3.2 last week.
Yeah, I think Devonta Smith is going to be quiet this week. I think A.J. Brown is going to come in and smash.
I'll say Sanders is the quiet one this week.
Really?
Yeah. This is just no good. The Colts beat the Broncos. The Broncos could have tied it up. Go for it. No good. Congratulations, Ben.
Wait, the Colts won because the Broncos went for it?
They went for it instead of tying it up with 3 minutes left. And they did not get it. Ben texted me before this game That is a die 999 in the comments, and he said, "Be honest with me. Do the Colts stand any chance tonight?" And my response was, any team coached by Frank Wright has a chance. He's a great coach. It helps when Russell sucks, but
it's so bad.
They came into Denver and won. The Colts could go to the Super Bowl. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's
Arizona. What do you got?
It's hard to talk about fantasy football when that kind of debauchery is going on. Arizona, though, look, Philadelphia is a very good defense. So let me just break down who I think is going to have a good game this weekend. Marquis Brown.
Yep.
That's it.
Oh, I was not expecting that, Dustin.
Yeah, I'm looking here, and it doesn't look good. Philadelphia is good all over the place. They've given up one decent game, and that was because they to the tight end, and that was because they shut down Justin Jefferson. I don't think they're going to shut down Marquise Brown. Like just the volume, I think the volume for Marquise Brown is going to be there. I think he'll have a useful game, but they're not going to be able to run the ball. I don't think. I mean, look, watch that defense and tell me that they're not going to have an answer for Kyler Murray. I think they've given up the second or the third least points to the quarterback position, and they've faced some really good quarterbacks.
Yep.
So I mean, they faced Kirk Cousins really, but I don't think Kyler Murray's like this all-knowing answer here. He's fast, he's mobile, but they also practice against Jalen Hurts, so it's not like they're unfamiliar with the capabilities here. So I expect this to be another strong outing for Philadelphia, who gets to now play indoors. Arizona's at home, but who cares?
When you say Hollywood is the only one who has a good, quote, good game, give me some ballpark projections for Kyler Murray and James Conner and Zach Ertz, just fantasy points wise in a half PPR.
Oh man, if I'm having to break down for them, I think Ertz is going to get probably 5 targets. I think he'll get probably 40 yards.
Okay.
I think Marquise, gets, another 12 targets or so. I think he's going to come down with like 8 receptions, 60, 70 yards. I always put him at 0.7 touchdowns because there's always a more, better off chance that he's going to score.
Okay.
Other than that, Philadelphia shuts down the running back, so James Conner's probably going to struggle. He hasn't looked great either.
Under 60?
Yeah, I think they hold him under 60. And then Kyler. Kyler hasn't exactly looked great either. His rushing yards aren't up there. He's only got 91 rushing yards on the year so far.
That's not enough.
Will
the return of DeAndre Hopkins be really, really helpful for them, or are they going to struggle pretty much all year?
Here's what I'm worried about, man, is that DeAndre Hopkins is going to come back at the middle of the season. And what has been a constant for the Cardinals each and every season, that Cliff Kingsbury has been the coach. He's been figured out halfway through the season. DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to automatically change how the offense runs. He's got a lot to prove himself. He's got to prove that the PEDs weren't holding him up.
I feel like there's a comfort level there with a guy of that caliber.
Sure.
The way that Kyler runs around, Deshaun Watson did that, and DeAndre Hopkins, with both of these guys, finds a way to get open, come back to the quarterback. There's a different feel, I feel like. Obviously,
Sure.
This is not a hot take, but Greg Dortch and A.J. Green are not going to give you the comfort level of, I know exactly what DeAndre Hopkins is going to do, and if I'm under pressure, I can just throw it in his direction, and I've got a good shot.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the argument.
It's got to lift. It's got to lift it a little bit.
No, it's not. I don't think it's going to make it worse. But here's the thing that I'm saying is that DeAndre Hopkins has not been the DeAndre Hopkins we have expected for the last couple of years now. DeAndre Hopkins is now older. And that's not to say he's washed. That's not, don't hear what I'm not saying. But he's also like the PEDs were not necessarily the only thing keeping him out of playing. He was dealing with a torn MCL last year. Like, there are things he has to overcome. Do not just take for granted that DeAndre Hopkins is going to brush off the dust and be, top 15 wide receiver right off the bat. This offense looks bad, and or at least not as good as we thought it was going to be. Yeah. And it's not all just because DeAndre Hopkins is not there. So temper your expectations. He'll be a top 20, 24 wide receiver, I think, each week. But I'm not going to just pencil him in as a top 15 guy each week.
Okay. All right. The next two will make a little bit briefer. Briefer? Is that a word? More brief?
More brief?
Briefer. These are going to be briefer. Bob's going to listen to that one and just his ears are going to be
What
bleeding.
are you guys doing?
Cincinnati at Baltimore. I will take the
Yes.
Bengals' take on this one. Jamar Chase has been nowhere near producing what his draft cost is, which is a first round, middle of the first round, sometimes top 5 pick in your draft a mere month ago, and you felt great about, I'm starting with Jamar Chase as my foundation. Mm-hmm. You are likely 1-3 or 0-4 if you drafted Jamar Chase in the first round. Because you need, especially in half PPR leagues, you need 18 to 20 points from Jamar Chase. That's what you need out of your first round pick. And you're not getting it right now. If you've gotten lucky and you've hit on some other guys, then you might be okay. But I would bet that the majority of Chase owners, not only are they upset, but now they're fighting an uphill battle. He needs to join them in this fight, myself included. He went on the wall behind me for this week to inspire him. We need a 20-piece from Jamar Chase, preferably 30, but at least 20.
Okay. I don't hate the call. Like I know that's what we need. A lot of people are calling for it, and Baltimore is terrible against wide receivers. So I think there's a solid chance that both wide receivers eat here. So fingers crossed. I think we see a lot of points scored by the Bengals. On the other side of the ball, I'm not worried about Lamar Jackson. Rashad Bateman not looking like he's going to play this week. So fire up Devon Duvernay. He's a good wide receiver 3 this week. I'm also really interested in J.K. Dobbins. Like, he wasn't super efficient last week, but he had a couple touchdowns. I think that offense is still going to find ways to move the ball. And it's a divisional matchup. It's in Baltimore. I think this team is going to figure it out because all this hullabaloo about John Harbaugh being he needs to be fired or whatever this fan base has been saying. I think that he's still a great coach. He's going to figure it out, and Lamar Jackson is his quarterback. So that all mixed together, I'm still excited about these weapons.
Yeah,
Devin Duvernay and Mark Andrews are the guys I feel most comfortable with in this matchup, but I'm still going to have J.K. Dobbins in my lineup.
All right. Finally, Monday night. This is going to be a fun one to watch, and there's going to be a lot of fantasy matchups swayed and decided on Monday night, probably in the third and fourth quarter, which is always fun. The Raiders at Chiefs in Kansas City. Las Vegas has Derek Carr playing catch-up in a shootout on Monday night. First big game for Derek Carr this year, yes or no, Dustin? And by big game, I mean 330 to 350 with 3.
Holy cow. No.
He's due for a 300 plus. Is this the one that he hits?
I think he can get to 300. Kansas City has been fairly friendly to quarterbacks. But no, I don't think it's going to be a 303.
375. 380?
No.
Going once,
no.
390.
No.
Okay.
Goodness gracious. What
All
are
right,
we doing here?
We'll meet in the middle at 313.
Okay, I like 313. That feels okay.
All right.
That feels okay.
Kansas City, what are you looking for? Obviously, we're firing up all weapons, but what specifically do you want to see from the Chiefs? Because I have one that I did not put on the sheet. I'm curious.
Sure, I want to see Juju Smith-Schuster be
that
something.
was it. Thank you.
Like that is exactly what I want to see. I mean, Las Vegas isn't exactly like a huge boon for wide receivers of the opponent's offense, but Kansas City gives up points all over the place. So I fully expect Kansas City to have to score points to that's going to sound stupid. They have to score points to win the game.
More than the Raiders?
Yeah, they are going to have to score more than the Raiders. It's in Kansas City, and for whatever reason, Las Vegas plays well in Kansas City. So call me crazy, but I think this is going to be a matchup that is oddly close. It's going to be the one lone bright spot for this division because Kansas City gives it up to the running back. So if there's one guy I'm feeling really good about, it's Josh Jacobs in this matchup. So maybe we see a narrative where it opens up the other weapons on that offense and Derek Carr can actually let it fly.
Gosh, I hope so.
You mean Josh? Josh, I hope so.
Josh, I hope so. All right, moving on to big picks. That is our final matchup that we're covering this week,
Good.
The Monday night game. Moving on to big picks. I will start with quarterback. You just said a few minutes ago that you think Trevor Lawrence has a subpar performance this week because Houston does not give it up to quarterbacks.
Yep.
I will go on the contrary, as we like to do on this show. I think the Jaguars back home finally after a 2-game road trip against the winless Houston Texans. Trevor Lawrence was just getting hot before the ice-cold rain in Philly. I don't know if you saw that video of Devontae Smith mic'd up, but he was freezing his skinny self off. ETN is due to take a screen to the house. That's my bold call for this game. Outside of 25 yards to the house for ETN on a screen pass, which helps Trevor Lawrence. That type of play can make a quarterback's week go from 240 to 275 with 3.
That sounds about right. I don't hate that pick. My quarterback big pick of the week is Tom Brady versus Atlanta. I think that everything going on in his life right now, I think he's going to fall back into football. And what better to do that against than one of the worst passing defenses in the league? And Atlanta against Tom Brady, look, I don't think that means good things for Atlanta. And
an angry Tom Brady.
And an angry Tom Brady. I think this is a big, 4-touchdown game for Tom Brady. Mike Evans has a couple nice scores. I think we're going to see a Julio Jones sighting and one of those annoying Leonard Fournette, red zone touchdowns as well. So I think this is a big game for the Bucs, and Tom Brady is going to be a huge part of that, of course.
I love it. Running backs, Jeff Wilson Jr., for me, 17 touches per week over the last 3 weeks since becoming the starter. Very positive game script expected. As I said earlier, I think the Niners absolutely murder the Panthers. Yeah. Wilson right now is giving you 78 yards per game over the last 3. That is a very healthy amount of yardage. Yeah. I think we see, with that positive game script, I think we see 18 to 20 touches, somewhere between 80 to 100 total yards, and a touchdown for my name is Jeff.
Okay. All right. I like that. Give me the other Channing Tatum voice. I
believe you can do that better than I could.
My name is Jeff.
There we go. Hey, we need to record that have that on loop.
Oh, my goodness. Devin Singletary is my running back big pick of the week. Not just because he's on my fantasy team. My pick was going to be Damian Harris. But I started thinking about it. I think Devin Singletary is in for a great game. He's being used in all quadrants of the game and all quadrants of the field. And also, he happens to be on a great offense against a really bad defense. So, look, I'm not so good at the numbers and the math things, but that all adds up to me. So Devin Singletary, I think, is going to get a couple of scores in this matchup. I think people are going to see how this team operates, and it's going to be a couple of those plays where it's like, oh, like you see it right from the beginning. Is like, why are they not covering Devin Singletary? And then there it is, just a quick dump off pass, inside the 10, and then there he is for the end zone. So Devin Singletary going to have a good game this week and beat his projection by more than 5 points.
Is he in your lineup in the home league?
He is.
Oh, okay. We're speaking.
I lost
into
Javonte, man.
Fruition.
I lost my Javonte. He is my running back 1. Leave me alone.
So sorry. My week 5 wide receiver big pick, Robert Woods. We already talked about him earlier, but Washington has given up the absolute most fantasy points to receivers in the NFL so far through 4 weeks. Treylon Burks is out, and Dustin, he has one of the best nicknames in the business, Bobby Trees. He's going for 10 targets, 8 catches, 90 yards, and a score.
Ooh, all right. I like that. All right, that's bold.
Bobby. Vintage
Line 'em
Bobby
up.
right here.
Bobby in the woods. All right, well, I'm going back to an OG of mine for my wide receiver big pick of the week. That is Mr. Michael Gallup. And
wow. That name shouldn't even be allowed to be spoken on this show.
Look, I'm just gonna call it right now. I think he has a really nice game. I think that it has nothing to do with the fact that he has a very low projection on Sleeper.
Okay. What happened to Noah Brown?
He's not Michael Gallup. You know, that's honestly the
the
biggest
2.
thing wrong with him.
Maybe not.
No, Michael Gallup's the 2.
All right.
Michael Gallup had a couple targets and a touchdown last week. I think he takes over a little bit more of the work this week. And like I said, the Rams giving up the second most wide receiver points against this season. I think Jalen Ramsey going to be on CD a lot of the time. Michael Gallup going to be the guy to look for and, hit those big shot plays that Noah Brown has been hitting. So I think that's what we're going to see from this team. And as I said, I think that Dallas is going to do enough on defense to get the ball back to their offense. So a lot of offense, very potent, and Michael Gallup beating that projection this week.
If you say so, Dustin. Speaking of OGs, I'm going to go back to the first player ever discussed on the Losing Sucks Fantasy Football podcast.
That's right.
The first name is Tyler. The last name is Higbee. That is my tight end big pick of the week. The iron is hot right now for Tyler Higbee. I don't think it has ever been hotter or could be. 68 yards per game over the last 3 weeks. He leads the NFL in targets for tight ends. Ride this wave. There is positive touchdown regression coming his way. I think this is the week where Tyler Higbee gives you... Let's just go with 60 yards and a score, maybe 2 scores. That regression comes on strong. Start Tyler Higbee. And a strategy question. Well, not question, but point.
Okay.
We said this earlier in the week. I want to reiterate. If you have Kyle Pitts or Darren Waller, and you also have Higbee as a late grab at tight end who's been working out, move Kyle Pitts on name value. Get a receiver or running back as it gets thin at those positions with injuries. Fill a hole somewhere else in the lineup and feel comfortable with Tyler Higbee. He's going to match Kyle Pitts all year long. He will probably match or be very close to Darren Waller pretty much every week.
Whoa.
I think you can start Tyler Higbee as a top 6 to 8 tight end very comfortably and use those other big names to get other position players.
It's hard for me to argue that because, he's getting the work. He gets the targets. I don't understand what the heck is going on. It's literally just a 2-man show for them. He's got 20 more targets than Allen Robinson. That's absurd. That's just absurd. Yeah, and until that changes, I think you have to comfortably keep him in your lineup over so many of those other guys. Like you said, you brought up Waller, who just so happens to be my big pick of the week.
This has worked out great tonight.
If you had to ask me right now who I would rather have, Tyler Higbee or Darren Waller, I would go Darren Waller.
Rest of season? Or this
rest
game?
of season? This week I'm gonna go Darren Waller. Okay. Rest of season I'm probably gonna go. Why do you make me do that? Oh gosh.
I'd go Waller both.
I'm gonna go Darren.
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna go Waller.
If you have both, Waller will return more than Higbee, so move him and get somebody else.
You don't think you can turn Higbee into a big name? You don't think you can get Higbee, trade him for Waller?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
No, I'm saying if you have Waller, and Higbee, because Higbee was a late grab.
Look, man, if you have
Move the
Waller
big
right now,
name.
you might be frustrated. You might be frustrated you have Waller right now, and you go move him for Higbee and someone else. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, we're saying the same thing. You're just going through the back door.
Yeah. Okay,
we're comfortable with Higbee. Use the other name to get somebody else.
Use the other name to get Higbee. For sure. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Go get Higbee. Anyway, Darren Waller against the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs have given up very usable games to the tight end this season. And Darren Waller, look, he's coming off a couple games where he's only had 5 targets and a couple of receptions. I expect that to change. He is still going to be a very prominent player on this offense. He has, granted, only 175 yards on the season, but that's going to change. Started off 2 games in a row plus 50 yards. He's going to score touchdowns. This is a game where they're going to have to keep up and throw the ball. So, yes, Darren Waller going to score in this game. We're going to see him get a little bit more consistent, probably going to get double-digit targets as well. So keep an eye out for Darren Waller to be used a little bit better as they get acclimated in Las Vegas.
I love that pick. I think Waller goes off.
I hope so.
All right, we shut this show down with a would you rather question that I have come up with on the fly.
Oh, goodness.
Dustin, as a Red Sox fan, I need you to put your fandom aside and just think monetarily and logically here.
Okay.
Would you rather catch Aaron Judge's 60-second home run ball in your glove at Texas Rangers Stadium, or would you, if you caught that and it meant you could never watch football again, would you say give me the baseball or give me watching football?
I would say having the 60-second home run of Aaron Judge, a Yankees player who I know that probably means a whole lot to, and having it in my possession the rest of my life would mean more to me than watching a football game.
Oh, you're not saying I'll catch the ball and change my life with the millions that it's worth.
No, I would take mine and absolutely ruin his.
Of all the answers I thought you would say, it was not. I would love to just make Aaron Judge mad that I have this baseball.
I would have that ball and I would burn it on live television.
So you would keep it. You would keep the ball and not watch football.
No. I would probably sell the ball and then I would probably just become like a fantasy tennis guy. Like that's what I'd do.
Football would be over for you for the rest of your life.
I would that guy is gonna get a couple $1 million and a whole bunch of stuff. Like, yeah, hey Dustin, you can't watch football and here's a couple $1 million. I could find enough to do with a couple $1 million.
This is true.
Man, that's gonna be tough, but I'll figure it out.
All right, that's it. That's all I got tonight, Dustin.
That's a fun show. Not a fun Thursday night football game. But you know what? We're working on getting through these a little bit faster, and you know what? We shaved almost a full minute off last show, so we're getting better. We're getting better. For those of you listening, for those of you that watch, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Losing Sucks, and make sure you visit us over at our website at losingsucksfantasy.com. As always, thanks again, and remember, losing sucks. Don't do it.